Okay, volume 5 of the Bible story. It's my set that I got. Okay, we are at part 3, story 6, 2 wonderful weeks. Somebody's coming. I don't know who. Okay. Do you remember Jehoiada, the high priest who cared for the little Joash in the temple? And do you remember how he had a son named Zechariah who was killed by that very same Joash? Well, this Zechariah had a little girl named Abijah who grew up to be one of the most important women in the Bible. And it does say Abijah. 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 You see, Abijah, who loved the Lord, became the wife of King Asa, Ahaz, and had a son whom she called Hezekiah, 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 Hezekiah. While her wicked husband was trying to make the people of Judah turn to Baal, she was quietly bringing up her precious baby to love and honor the Lord, honor the God of heaven. What about Abijah had to put up with, we will never know. But though through it all, she kept true to the faith of her father and her grandfather. And so when Asa, Ahaz, 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 okay, King Ahaz died, she had a son ready to sit on the throne who hated all the evil that his father had done. Hezekiah was 25 years old when he began to Hezekiah, Hezekiah, reigned, and thanks to his mother's careful training, he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. His first act after his coronation was to open the doors of the temple which his father had closed. Then he ordered the Levites to go in and clean out all the dirt that had gathered while the place had been shut, and to start the services again. Before the work began, he called the priests and Levites together on the east street and talked with them. After sanctify themselves, after bidding them sanctify themselves before starting the cleansing of the temple, he went on to say, our fathers have done that which was evil in the sight of the Lord our God. They have shut up the doors of the porch and put out the lamps, and have not burned incense nor offered burnt offerings. Wherefore the wrath of God was on Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, as ye see with your own eyes. For lo, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with the Lord God of Israel, and that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, For the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him to serve. Thus encouraged by the king, everybody went to work with a will. And now they did put their hearts into it. The priests went into the inner parts of the house of the Lord to cleanse it, and brought out all the uncleanliness. And it has a painting by Herbert Roden of him open the gate. And it's a full pager. So there it is, of him opening the doors and telling the priest to go in and clean. The caption says, due to his good mother and careful training, the first act of the young king Hezekiah, after his coronation, was to open the doors of the temple which his father years before had closed. Okay? Then it says, we'll get back to the story, and brought out all the uncleanliness they had found onto the court. The Levites carried the rubbish out of the city and tipped it into the brook of Kidron. They tipped it into the water. A Kidron. Really? Ah. It took a while, a whole week to get the worst of the job done, and another week to finish it properly. Then both priests and Levites went to King Hezekiah to report. We have cleansed all the house of the Lord, they said, and the altar of burning offering, which all the vessels therefore and the showbread table, moreover all the vessels which King Isaiah or Ahaz in his reign did cast away in his transgression, we have prepared and sanctified, and behold, they are before the altar of God. Hezekiah was surprised that they had finished so soon, and was very, very pleased. The next morning he rose up early, and taking all the rulers of the city with him, went to the temple. As a sacrifice he brought 7 bullocks it says, 7 rams, 7 lambs, 7 he-goats, and command the priests, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of the Lord. This was a sin offering for all of Israel. As soon as the fire was kindled and the smoke of the sacrifice began to rise into the early morning air, there was a burst of song and music. Priests blew the sacred trumpets, while Levites played the cymbals, the psalteries, guitars, and harps as they sang the song of the Lord. Everybody was happy that the temple was open again, and that from now on the worship of God would be continued as of old. And they sang praises with gladness, and they bowed their heads and worshiped. It was a great day. After the sin offering was consumed, Hezekiah? Okay, it's Hezekiah called upon the people to bring thanks offering, which they did with cheerful hearts. 300 oxen and 3,000 sheep were brought, so many that the priests were too few to handle them, and their brethren, the Levites, had to help them. It must have been a wonderful sight with so many people eagerly bringing their gifts. Jerusalem hadn't seen anything like this for many long days. For a for a for many a long day. Okay, it's got the priest up here at the top cleaning, and then here at the bottom, everybody bringing a sheep for the sacrifice. Okay, not the end of our story yet, and it's Hezekiah. So I finally figured out the name. Okay, and Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people that God had prepared, and all the people that God had prepared the people for the thing was done suddenly. Suddenly was the word. Little more than 2 weeks had passed since the door of the temple had been unlocked, and more work of cleaning up began. Some of the people thought it might take months, maybe years, but the place could be fixed up properly before the place could be fixed up properly so the worship of God could start again. But it happened in just 2 weeks, 2 wonderful weeks. It seemed too good to be true, yet it was true. The temple was open. Worship had begun. The smoke of the sacrifices were even now bellowing heavenward. No wonder Hezekiah was happy. So was his mother Abijah. For her, it was a dream come true. This was her moment of triumph over all the dark years she had lived with wicked Asa, or Ahaz. How her father and grandfather would have rejoiced to see this day. It just it just goes on to show how quickly a task can be done when people have a mind to do it. It doesn't have to wait and wait and wait. When there are willing hearts and desires to serve, the things can be done suddenly. And then of course it has the picture of the bottom of the smoke going over the temple. Here it is, the smoke of that burnt offering, or the giant barbecue. I like to do that. That's just me. Okay, that was part 3, story 6. And, whenever I said that, that means it's time for a break. So we're going to break, and then we're going to read the next story in just a bit.